This Week in History, trivia style. This Week in History, trivia style. Uh-huh. We went back and forth with ChatGPT on this one to make this happen. I see you got some viewers out there, so hopefully you'll pop in. Here we go. I'll give you the question. I'll give you some time. I'll give you some multiple choices. Feel free to chime in at any point. And if you don't chime in and there's no one playing along, I will also play along, and I will guess my answers to the best of my ability. Starting with question number 1 on June 28th, 1914. Which event triggered the start of World War I? I know this. I know this because I tell people about this event and how this one person killed millions and millions of people. And no one knows his name. The event that occurred on June 28th, 1914, did trigger the First World War, which triggered the Second World War, and all of the people that died in both of these world wars died because of this single event, which in and of itself was a fluke. Do you know what it is? Do you have a guess? What if I gave you some multiple choices to choose from? Was it the signing of the Treaty of Versailles? Was it the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand? Was it the Battle of Somme? Or the sinking of the Lusitania? Which one of those events triggered World War I, which then triggered World War II? Any idea? Absent of any viewers or any responses, I shall tell you it was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Yes, and a tragedy of events that occurred there. Moving on. Oh, that's my guess. That's my guess. We'll find out if I was correct once we get to the end. Question number 2. On June 26, 1945, the United Nations was signed in San Francisco. What organization was established by this charter? I think that question kind of answered itself, I think. Let's read it again. On June 26, 1945, the United Nations Charter was signed in San Francisco, period. Which organization was established by this charter? I ask AI not to make the questions too difficult, but damn. Let's see what our options are. NATO, the European Union, the United Nations, or the League of Nations. I believe the answer is in the question that the United Nations Charter, which was signed on June 26, 1945 in San Francisco, is responsible for establishing the United Nations. That's just my guess. I could be wrong. Question number 3. What spacecraft carrying the first crew to land on the moon was, why is it July 16th? I specifically ask AI for this week in history, the week ending in 30 June, but this one is 16 July, 1969. In 16 July, 1969, what spacecraft carrying the first people to land on the moon? What was it? You got some options out there. Mother, good morning. Good to see you, my friend. We are on question number 3. I'm going to go back in time real quick. I'm going to give you questions number 1 and 2, see if you can answer them. Question number 1, June 28, 1914, what event triggered the start of World War I? What event started World War I? Was it the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the Battle of Somme, or the sinking of the Lusitania? Those are your options. Question number 1. Question number 2. On June 26, 1945, the United Nations Charter was signed in San Francisco. What organization was established by this charter? Options: NATO, the European Union, the United Nations, or the League of Nations. Those are your options for question number 2. Question number 3, the one we're on right now. Which spacecraft carrying the first crew to land on the moon launched on July 16th, 1969? So they have the answer, right? And I know the answer. I don't want to give you the answer. I think it's just too easy. They give you Gemini 4. They give you Mercury Redstone 3. They give you Soyuz 1. And then they give you Apollo, and they give the number. And I think if I gave you the number, you'd know. So there's a bunch of Apollo missions. Apollo is the answer. What number was the mission? Ha 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 ha! You didn't think that was going to be that easy. I know the answer. I'm not giving it away. I'll give it away at the end. All right. I gave you enough clues on that one. Question number 4, more than halfway there. On June 30th, 1859, which famous naturalist published his groundbreaking work on the origin of species? Hello, Simeon. It's great to see both of you there. That makes me happy. What famous naturalist published his groundbreaking work on the origin of species, June 30th, 1859? That is question number 4. Your options are Alfred Russel Wallace, Gregor Mendel, Thomas Huxley, or Charles Darwin. Again, I know the answer. I don't want to say my answer. I want you to answer. That's what you're here for, to answer. Question number 5. What significant event occurred on June 29th, 2007? All right. Again, we are training our robot overlords. In everything that we do, in all of our communications, it's nothing but the robots learning how to rule us, how to domineer us. Well, one of the things you don't have to worry about right now is AI taking over trivia. Because the rest of this question, for the second time in these 7 questions, actually gives us the answer. So I'm going to go with what significant event occurred on June 29th, 2007? And I'm leaving off the end of this question for a reason. Here are your options: the launch of the iPhone, the release of the iPod Touch, the unveiling of the MacBook Air, or the introduction of the iTunes Store. So it's definitely an Apple thing, right? The rest of the question was when Apple released, and then it tells you what the answer is. The launch of the iPhone, the release of the iPod Touch, the unveiling of the MacBook Air, or the introduction of the iTunes Store. Make your guesses known as we move on to question number 6. Ooh, okay. On June 27th, 1954, which body of water was officially opened for navigation connecting the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean? June 27th, 1954, what body of water was officially open for navigation? Again, I know this. I know this because I've been there. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've been on the water of this location. Is it, for your options, the Panama Canal, the Suez Canal, the Erie Canal, or the St. Lawrence Seaway? Those are your options. Which one is it? The great thing about making it multiple choice is you can easily rule out the Panama Canal and the Suez Canal because neither of them are anywhere near the Great Lakes. They're in Panama and Suez. Finally, your last question of the week. What iconic American author and humorist was born on June 30th, 1835? American author, iconic American author, and humorist, born on June 30th, 1835. The original iPhone was released on June 29th, 2007, is what Mr. Morgan is offering up. Going back to that question, June 29th, 2007 is correct. That was the first iPhone. If I would have read you the entire question, it would have also told you that's correct. The entire question, I'm not lying, this is how it's written. What significant event occurred on June 29th, 2007 when Apple released its first iPhone? Question mark. So yeah, they kind of gave that one away. All right, so the question number 6 was how do you get from the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean? And finally, question number 7, what iconic American author and humorist was born on June 30th, 1835? Was it Edgar Allan Poe? Was it Mark Twain? And they put into parentheses Samuel Clemens. Thanks. Was it Nathaniel Hawthorne? Or was it Washington Irvine? Those are your options for iconic American author and humorist born June 30th, 1835. Short of your guesses, I'm just going to push through. All right, here we go. Going over my answers. I know that in Sarajevo, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was the precursor to World War I and World War II. And that is the correct answer for what happened on June 28, 1914. The United Nations Charter established the United Nations, spacecraft. It was an Apollo spacecraft, and if you guessed correctly, it would have been Apollo 11. Who was the Origin of Species author? That was Charles Darwin. The launch of the iPad, Mr. Morgan captured that correctly, and as did the question. The St. Lawrence Seaway, not the Erie Canal, of the remaining options, is what gets you from the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean. It's a series of docks and locks and docks. And Finalmente, the humorist, was the clue that gave it away. He was an iconic American author and humorist. That was Mark Twain, also known as Samuel Clemens. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That is the supplemental for this week. We did our National Days of the Week. We talked about the fire department there, volunteer fire department number 3 of NOLA, doing their little thing. And, of course, we did This Week in History in a trivia contest. Mississippi River, Erie Canal, or St. Lawrence Seaway. It was St. Lawrence Seaway. It was St. Lawrence Seaway. And that wraps up the supplemental for this week. As always, I remind you, just be the best person that you could be. If you were a great person today, be an even better person tomorrow. Check Bruce sends her love, and I'll be talking to her in 30 minutes, taping a new episode of The Lunsby Show. Remember, you can find The Lunsby Show anywhere fine podcasts are sold or given away for free. And you can check us out there on the YouTubes, on the Spotifys, on the iTunes. We're anywhere. Join us on our fan page by searching the hashtag LUNSB. Lunsby, love you. Now say bye. Or love you. No shit. Bye. All right, everybody. That's going to wrap it up. And I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to fade to black, baby.